VERU. Right now, this thing is squeezing up. We had a pretty good retracement yesterday. Day before that, huge move up. It wasn't showing too much strength in the after hours or pre-market. Not a lot of volume, and price action wasn't really moving anywhere. So it didn't seem like it was going to make much of a move today, but that was not the case. On the open, we had some decent volume, but it really was more just to the downside. And we kind of almost found support at that $10 psychological level, and then kind of slowly crept up. But once it started to kind of really break view up, and then kind of break some of those pre-market levels, like really like the 1068 level. A lot of people probably were risking off of that. You have the day before, it's fading, so it's showing weakness in pre-market. Seems a good idea to get in short. You have pop up and starts fading before the open, so we'll risk off, at that 10.6, 10.7 level. But yeah, it kind of crept up, and then once it hits that, some more volume came in. Some of it's probably covering, and then also just people getting aggressive in the buy. But then it kind of traded sideways for the majority of the day, just perhaps slowly wedging up. So you can kind of see just the lows are getting just a little bit higher, kind of pushing up towards 12. This is a low float, so you do see that volatility. As it kept moving up, you do see these big flushes down. So it's definitely, if you're trying to play the short-term intraday, you got to be really careful. And it kind of wedged almost at this $12 point, and then we do see a couple of test and fails of this 1240 range. But when it comes back on the third time, again, just more volume, squeezing it up, and it's really just absolutely squeezed it all the way up to 14 now. And there probably was a decent amount of people in on that $12 perhaps range. People got in probably yesterday as well as the day before, and just a solid number to risk off of, as well as then today people getting in that 12.4 range. So that's why you see probably more volume, and then with the just aggressiveness of how people have been trading this over the past few days. The move 2 days prior was just absolutely monster. And so now you're kind of seeing this squeeze up to 14. Bell's about to go off soon in terms of trading day, but this will most likely see some action after hours. With the high 2 days ago was, and then the bell just rings. The high was 1457, and we're really kind of pushing up there. You can almost just kind of consider 14.5 to be kind of a level. 14.5, 14.7. If this thing crosses that, which it's looking like it is right now, I could see a big squeeze, possibly a squeeze here. There's probably a lot of people, a lot of new positions in at that from that other day, at that 14.5 range. It's low float. Low float biotech's been kind of the trend as of recently, and I think this one has been leading the charge. It's definitely one to watch for this after hours. In terms of what happens next, then tomorrow, it's really a hard prediction to make. It all really depends on what happens right now. I think if we, see some big volume coming in right now, and perhaps triggering some covers, breaking 15, it's maybe you see more action too tomorrow morning. So we only have, it looks like, I think there's only one more day this week. On Friday, I believe the market's closed, so I think this will be kind of the bigger move if it happens for this. And then probably some consolidation. I mean, we do definitely have more volume today as opposed to yesterday on the retracement. Right now it's kind of just hovering around that 14.5 range. I mean, it is, depending on perspective, rather overextended. I mean, a few days ago it was at $4.52, so it's, $10 in 3 days. So is the value of the company true to that? I guess I don't know. I don't have all insight on all the fundamentals, but that's something to consider. I mean, ATR is almost now looking like $3-4 the past few days. So I mean, if it has attention tomorrow, it definitely has range to move. I mean, it's just so high up right now. I think between this 15 and 12 is kind of the trading range. I mean, if it breaks down, doesn't hold 14, doesn't hold 13, and might see another fade. On the flip side, it's, it could see another move up. I mean, I don't think we're going to see, a $10 move, but definitely something that could move a couple dollars easily if the volume's there. And it looks like right now it's getting kind of rejected at that 14.5. I mean, volume is decreasing, so it's kind of tough to predict. It's going to need to hold 14 for a possible move on the upside. It is also possible that there's not too many shorts and at that 14.5 level, so if that's being the case, you might not get much of a squeeze. It's just then if the buyers step up. But right now it doesn't seem like that is the case. So definitely one to watch the rest of the day, and then probably we'll see action. I would guess that all pre-market tomorrow, and then on the open as well. Whether it's up or down really depends on this after hours right now. Just between that 14.5 range and I would say $13. Let's also look at ATER. We've been kind of looking at this one the past few days. We kind of talked about this one this morning just because yesterday it made a pretty good move, decent squeeze at the end. Kind of held consolidation around that 520, 525 range. And then it just faded a little bit, before the bell, kind of almost similar to VERU. Because I think this is also, let me check what, no, this one's, this isn't biotech, but definitely low float. So kind of noticed, or kind of mentioned before, that 525 level is going to be key. Didn't seem like we're going to get volume or any buying to that point. I mean, it looks like it tested it on the open, just failed though, and then kind of almost consolidated a little bit below VWAP, which was perhaps not the best sign of strength. But then once we reclaim VWAP, we start to see more volume come in, and then it's that break of 520. There's probably shorts in from pre-market as well as on the open. Triggers a lot of covers, and then now that it was consolidating at this 5.5 range, it's getting a lot more people's attention, and then you just kind of see a new support at 540, and then almost like a test or resistance at 5.7. Kind of play within that range, and then once we break that 5.7 later in the day, again see another squeeze up, just because this thing is people probably getting it in and shorting, and then just the aggressive nature of people's attention. Squeeze all the way up to 660, which is pretty impressive. But then you kind of see the backside of that in terms of low float, tons of fading down, retracements, flushing down to view up, kind of traded sideways, and now it's really just broken down at the end of the day and after hours. I mean, we're kind of consolidating around it was consolidating around that $6 range, but just failed to hold, and then broke VWAP right before the close. And now after hours, it just has seen a pretty good flush down. Not too much volume though, so just kind of some I don't know, rough price action. And after hours, not a lot of volume. You can kind of see that volatility more so with the price action. It'll be interesting to watch. I mean, I think this thing made such a monster move yesterday at the close, and then also today. I mean, you're going to need to see a break of 6 for anything, possibly more continuation on the upside. So, I mean, if it can reclaim this VWAP and reclaim 6 in the after hours or possibly pre-market, you might see some more action on the open. Otherwise, I think it's right now it's kind of dipping down towards consolidating around that 525 area again. Kind of just did a bounce off of that. But then also if it breaks 525, we don't really have much consolidation around $5 a little bit. Otherwise, next stop really kind of seems from longer term support at 486.45. This thing just kind of needs a break that 5.5, break VWAP for the upside. But it doesn't seem like it's going to do that, although I could be wrong just based off the price action right now. If volume comes in, we could see a move to the upside. Otherwise, like I said, breaking that 525 might lead to a further fade down to like 480.